Hello, a very warm soul-to-soul blessings to you. You're most welcome. This is my Antahkarana series, Building the Rainbow Bridge, and this is the 4th video in the series. If you haven't watched the prior 3 videos, I recommend you do so. So the other phenomena I'm about to discuss will make more sense, or at least you'll have a reference point for what I'm now going to talk about in this video. For the 4th video on this series, I'm going to discuss the Antahkarana thread building stages, the Rainbow Bridge building stages 5 and 6. Just to recap on the 4th, and it might be useful actually if I bring up the diagram as I discuss this. 2 moments, please. So we had concluded the last video with discussing stages 3 and 4. So where we had left off from was being fully built to monad, the weaving of the second portion of the life thread, which doubles back over itself and anchors into the Earth's star. Another side note on that, that's also the Rainbow Bridge building stage that starts the process of circles. And I'll speak more about that in another video. So even though the Antahkarana thread, the second portion of the love thread that goes up to monad and comes back down the central channel to anchor into the Earth's star, even though its trajectory is linear, it starts the process of circles for the personality. The 4th stage, the completion of the 4th stage of Rainbow Bridge building, is marked by those 4 threads being present. Soul to head thread, first portion of the consciousness thread. Soul to heart thread, first portion of the life thread. Personality service thread weaves up from the solar plexus up through the central channel to the triad chakra and the abstract mind point in the triad chakra. That's the first portion of the creative thread, the activity portion of the adaptability thread. And that brings us then to the 4th stage, which is the second portion of the life thread that builds someone to their monadic energy center and anchors in the Earth's star. That's also then marked by the first 12 foundation petals being open in the heart center ring, meaning the 3 petals of the physical plane being open, 3 petals of the astral plane, 3 petals of the mental plane, and 3 petals on the spiritual development ring. And there is a plate here as well. So on the, like it says in the description, and like I've already mentioned, these videos accompany, they're an explanation videos for the free PDF document, Building the Rainbow Bridge, on my website, which contains new releases of information available nowhere else. So I am now on page 9, crossing over into page 10 of the PDF document. And on page 12 is the diagram. And this plate, and it says it here in the description, below is a color plate that illustrates the links between the soul star, the triad, and the monad energy centers. So this is a plate of an actual living Rainbow Bridge student who did the Rainbow Bridge techniques with me. They're still here and they've progressed from this point, but this is an actual real auric plate of someone living who is doing the Rainbow Bridge techniques. And at the time this plate was created, they agreed to be an anonymous aura plate person for me for this document to show what it looks like clairvoyantly when someone is built to triad and building to monad. So at this point, they had not fully built to monad, they were building to monad. And that's what this auric plate shows. So just to be clear on that as well, it shows the developing soul star. It shows the strength of connection, not only between the soul star and the personality through the threads woven, but you'll notice that the part of the central channel from soul star above to triad is also very defined as well. And you can see the connecting thread going up into the triad, into the abstract mind point of the triad, as shown by the green dot. And you can see the development of the personality love thread starting to weave up through the sun of mind point in the triad, and weaving up to link with the love wisdom thread in the monadic energy center. So that's where we concluded our last video in the series. And we're now moving on from there. And it's very in-depth information, but I will try to keep it brief. And as I keep saying, this is meant to be followed along with the booklet. So these are only short videos just to give extra insight into what you're studying and reading through in the booklet. So coming back to page 10, I'm now going to briefly discuss stage 5 of building the rainbow bridge. How that occurs. So once stage 4 has fully been consummated, 4 threads, 12 petals open in the heart center. There's other phenomena to look at as well, but I'm keeping this brief just in terms of the summary of the stages of building the rainbow bridge. So once that's been consummated, and at that point as well, there would be no external patterns left either, or core wounds. So it would only be internal patterns that would now be getting dealt with, and they would be very refined internal patterns. Stage 4 of building the rainbow bridge marks more focusing on internal patterns with stage 4 of building the rainbow bridge. So by the time someone comes to stage 5, they're only dealing with refined remaining internal patterns. And the heaviest remaining internal patterns are usually internally within the head. In other words, the internal patterns that run through the brain, the physical matter of the brain, because our brains have been biologically developing for a very, very, very long time. And there's a lot of very deep-seated conditioning and patterning that we carry within that organ. And as I was explaining before, internal patterns relate to inherited genetic memory wounding that still has not been resolved. So these are very dense patterns. So because of that, when someone starts stage 5 of rainbow bridge building, that marks building to your ray path, which is a symbol. It's a chakra. It's a higher celestial chakra, but it's a symbol chakra, meaning yes, it's still an energy center, but it's of a different nature to the soul star, triad, and monad. That celestial chakra is above the monadic chakra. And as shown in the diagram that I just showed you, it's deliberately omitted. And I state that so you can still see a very thin thread here, but what would be above here would be the ray path symbol. But I'll talk about that in a later video. I just want to give little bits of information in digestible increments. So coming back to stage 5. Stage 5, so once stage 4 has been consummated, stage 5 of rainbow bridge building starts. Stage 5 is the weaving of the knowledge thread, which is the second portion of the consciousness thread of the Antahkarana. So that thread weaves up from the trigeminal nerve in the brain, up through the central channel, up through the soul star, up through the lower mind point in the triad, up to the will thread in monad, and weaves up again to the ray path symbol. It starts to build you to your ray path, which is original contracts in terms of your higher self, your higher self's original contracts. As that thread starts to weave and thicken, it starts to trigger the opening of the final 4 petals within the heart center. I call them final 4 mystery petals because they look very different to the foundation 12 petals, and a better description of them would be diverged monadic force. because what's happening is that knowledge thread weaves and thickens. It starts to solarize the mind and help to clear out the heavier head internal patterns. So it literally enlightens the brain, the mind, the physical mind. As that starts to happen, a process starts where the triad and monad start to fuse. And what those final four petals are, those final four mystery petals are, is they are diverged monadic force. So as those final four mystery petals start to open, it marks your triad and monad fusing and the monadic spark becoming anchored in the heart, as shown by the four diverged petals. So even though those petals are of a different nature when it comes to the fifth stage of Rainbow Bridge building, they still only open one at a time and do have causation effects. But what happens is at the end of stage 5, your triad and monad vanish from the auric field above you, leaving a 5-rayed soul star, the monadic spark anchored in the heart, and just your ray path symbol above you, giving you a direct link to the highest point in spirit that you can build to and contact while in form. And that is the front cover. That is the front cover. That's the front cover here. I'm coming back to this diagram, 5-rayed soul star. So at the end of stage 5, this is what can be seen, although this is a very matured 5-rayed soul star. This wasn't a plate of someone who'd only just completed stage 5. This 5-rayed soul star was more of a matured 5-rayed soul star, but this is essentially what's left above the person's head, with no triad and monad above them because the monadic spark's been anchored in the heart, and just the ray path symbol above them. So the 5-rayed soul star shows that the foundation 5 petals, the 2 soul threads, and the 3 personality threads, the foundations of them have been anchored. Consciousness, wisdom, love, knowledge, and service being expressed through the 5-rayed soul star, through a very soul-infused personality. What that also marks is the release of what I call the soul angel back through its path of return. And that's also what's marked by the monad and triad vanishing from the upper aura, because that stage releases and starts to release the solar angel back through its path of return. Whenever I'm explaining this stage to people and what's happening with you now being given a direct link to spirit, there's a Christian joke, and I love this Christian joke because it explains this stage perfectly, where there's a Christian joke that goes, they blew up 5 atoms before they worked out that God could not talk direct to people. I'll say that joke again. There's a joke that they blew up 5 atoms, meaning Adam and Eve. They blew up 5 atoms before they realized God couldn't talk direct to humans. So what your solar angel also does, what the bodies of your solar angel also do, is they act as a buffer between the highest point in spirit and you in the lowest point in matter, so to speak, and allow you an opportunity to refine and lighten and improve the condition of the bodies before you then don't need that buffer anymore, leaving behind a very deeply soul integrated personality. So the summary of that is described on page 10. I'll just come back to page 10. And I believe I've covered all of the finer points that I wanted to make over stage 5. So now I'd like to discuss stage 6 just very briefly. With stage 6 is marked by the chakras starting to go silver one by one. Because at this point with stage 6, there aren't any what would be called internal and external patterns remaining. What's happening as those centers punch out silver one by one, it marks original trauma points healing. I would need to create another video just on that topic alone, so I will, but just to keep it brief, that's what's happening. As those centers punch out silver one by one, it's usually the base, chakra first, and crown last. And it can be any direction in between, meaning there's not a set order. It's usually base chakra first, and then it might go up to the solar plexus, come up to third eye, go back down to the throat. So there's not a set order. It's not like the centers go silver one at a time from the base chakra up like a xylophone. It's usually base chakra first, and then any combination in between, and usually crown last, but there's always exceptions to the rule. So what's happening there is you are healing where all of your trauma points and genetic line trauma points have met. So you're healing the duality of the main two ways that you and the memories of the tribe you're carrying, you're going back to the original points of trauma and clearing those through the chakras one by one. So it's not that you're clearing any sneaky internal patterns. You are healing the origin points, the two duality trauma points being carried within you through the timelines that you carry. And it happens one by one. As that starts to happen, stage 6 marks the second portion of the creative thread weaving, the adaptability portion of the monadic threads of the green thread. The first portion of the creative thread is woven at stage 3, the activity portion. The adaptability portion is woven at stage 6. Because of the knowledge thread that's woven at stage 5 that builds you to your ray path, as that last portion of the creative thread weaves and thickens, there's a gravity situation that unfolds. Whereas the centers punch out silver and the creative thread weaves, it pulleys down your ray path symbol using the steadiness of the knowledge thread. So the knowledge thread would be the fixed pole that your ray path symbol follows down. The centers going silver and the creative thread weaving then start to pull down that ray path symbol. Once that ray path symbol is fully down over the personality aura, that marks stage 6 being completed. So when all of the chakras are silver from base to crown, and the ray path symbol is fully down over the auric field, as well as other phenomena. Remember, please, I'm keeping it brief just for the summary. That marks stage 6 being completed. And one way of describing stage 6 is bringing your piece of heaven down to earth, grounding your piece of the puzzle, grounding your part of your role to play within humanity, meaning original contracts. Stage 6, the gift of reaching stage 6, because it takes quite a bit of dedication to the Rainbow Bridge clearing techniques to get to this point. Remember, this document outlines the causation of the Rainbow Bridge techniques, of the soul star clearing techniques. So it does take quite a bit of commitment to get to this point. But the gift in stage 6 marks you now living out your original contracts and the slate being white clean. So if someone was to say to me, Chloe, when do you get your fresh start? When would you say that all karmic imbalance and everything that needs to be brought back into good order, at what point do you get that clean slate to work from? Or at what point does that start? That's stage 6. That's stage 6. And the other gift in stage 6 is, and I've witnessed this over and over and over again in the people that have dedicated to the techniques long enough to get to this point. With stage 6, your no's become very clear, and so do your yeses. Meaning, if I ever had a new stage 6 builder ring me up and go, Chloe, I'm thinking about doing something, but should I do this or should I do that? And I would be saying to them, well, what's happened? What have you witnessed? Keep up your Rainbow Bridge clearing work, and that will be revealed to you. Because what happens is, with your grounded ray path symbol, as long as you keep up your clearing work, anything that comes your way will crumble if it's not for you. All you've got to do is witness what happens. So your no's become crystal clear and your yeses become crystal clear. And this also marks a very high point of maturity in people starting to understand and embody that usually when it comes to manifesting and understanding your path, everyone's obsessed with, well, where are my yeses? Where's my open door? How do I attract? What do I attract? It's so important to pay attention to your no's as well as your yeses. Sometimes your no's are a better signpost than your yeses, but that becomes more fully embodied and understood in a very crystal clear way by the time you get to stage 6, if you stick with the techniques long enough to get to that point. Meaning your yeses will become crystal clear. All you've got to do is sit, observe, do your clearing work, interact a little bit, have a few discussions, and then see what comes out. If it's for you, with gentle nurturing on your part, it will be. If it's not meant for you, it'll just crumble. And you just get to sit within yourself and witness which way it goes. So that's the other gift in stage 6. I'm just checking my notes as well to see if there's any other pointers I would like to make about this stage. Now, even though I do recommend the booklet being read properly in order, in 5 Threads of the Antahkarana, in that particular chapter, I fully elaborate on stages of building the Rainbow Bridge in a bit more detail, but like that I give the summary first. In that section where I go into more detail in stage 6, and I'll just find where it starts here. Here we go. On page 33 of the document, Building the Rainbow Bridge, stage 6, circling the square, bringing heaven down to earth, grounding your ray path and living authentically. So that's the keynote of stage 6, living authentically. And I give a couple of very beautiful paragraphs of a very deeply explaining from a clairvoyant perspective how that looks and the causation. So in particular, that section of the book, it is beautiful to read and gives a lot of deep insight. And I am going to create a separate video just on describing that part of the booklet on stage 6 alone, because it's just, I would just love to share it. I really would. I would love to share the causation and describe it in more detail. For the moment, though, I do believe that that's everything that I wish to share just for this part of the Antahkarana thread weaving series, just the gentle, broken up preliminary videos. So I hope you enjoyed video 4 in the series. Soul to soul blessings to you, and please do contact me through my website, www.chloefolan.com, if you have any questions. Blessings to you.